Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. It has been a minute. We haven't recorded in probably about 2 weeks. That's because I wanted a little bit of a break. I had a few things in the works. I had a few things in the pipe. I had a few things I wanted to work out. I had a few things in my mind I wanted to get going as well. So I hate being stagnant and stale and repeating everything kind of over and over again, even though it's a good message and I say it differently almost every time I say it. Just needed 2 weeks off. So thank you all for listening. And I'm coming back with somebody who I'm really excited to talk to. This is a fella, and I've mentioned him on the show quite a few times in the past, just his music, his vibe, his energy, his essence that I've picked up through small communications with and 100% through the music. Ladies and gentlemen, with me today, whom I'm super excited to introduce, TimeCop1983. You've heard me talk about him. Here he is.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man. In the past, I've mentioned a few things. I always drop little nuggets on the show, sort of as to what I like, what I'm listening to, stuff that sort of gets a feel out of me, an emotion, a rise, that kind of thing. And your tunes, man, your tunes hit the nail on the spot. I'll tell you, when I was just coming back, I had a 4-hour drive, and 3 of those hours were in dusk/night. And there's nothing better than your tunes on a highway that doesn't have much to look at, you know, and it's just the same beat, that beautiful melody that you put into your effort and put into your music. It killed it. That trip, 3 hours. And when you're listening to a musician, an artist, when you're listening to somebody that no matter what song comes on, and it could be in any order, it doesn't matter. You don't at all ever think to hit the skip button or reach for any of that stuff. And that's you. That's your tune.
Oh, wow, man. Wow. Do you know which album it was? Do you remember?
I have you on Spotify. So when I say or put the Spotify on, I don't put you on an album. I put you on as an entirety, and Spotify plays sort of as it goes.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's because of that I've said, I've done sort of, what's the word? Like I've questioned that. I'm like, am I listening to an entire album? Because there's a flow through your albums. I know I've put the albums on, and there's a flow from track to track.
That's what I tried to do.
Yeah, and it's interesting when it's on sort of shuffle, you get. It's like watching a movie that's jumping through time with TimeCop. It's like jumping through time, and it's like, okay, so here's a flashback to this, and here's a flashback to that, and then here's a foreshadow of this. So even when your tunes are not in order, they're telling a story, and that's really cool.
That's cool. That's cool. But because in 2018 with my album Night Drive, that's what I specifically had in mind for it. To just driving on the highway at dusk or at night and on an empty highway, and that's what you'll be playing in the car. So it's funny that you actually feel it that way as well.
And that's when it hits, And here's an interesting fact too. On this drive, I was with my mother, who is 74 years old.
All right.
And she didn't reach for the buttons either. She didn't with her, advanced. I don't want to say advanced anything. If she's listening, I'm not talking about her anything advanced. But the ODD, the OCD, the idea that what else is out there, that permeates our media, that permeates our minds. What else is out there? And she didn't reach for it either. So your tunes are transcending generations. I feel like we should be playing you in the background right now.
Well, yeah, go for it. But it's crazy, man.
It's
so
good.
It's not like an age thing. Of course, I see it in my numbers, but I usually picture guys like you and me, kind of about the same age, listening to my music. But to know that the older people like my music too, like your mom, and that's so cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, when you put something on, and somebody generally in the car wants to change what you're doing. They want to put their thing on, but your music has this ability to just, I mean, in my opinion, it covered it. It was perfect for what it was. Not aggressive. I mean, some of your stuff is great, but just that, maybe it was the whole Night Drive. Maybe that was the luck that I had that day that it played the whole Night Drive album, but
no, but yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, my music is not like out there. It's not like really aggressive, as you say, or it's just kind of music to listen to. That's how I see it, at least. And I mean, it's not music that would be played in clubs or whatever. It's not dance music. It's not like harder music that people go crazy about. It's just really mellow, and that's what I try to achieve with it. So.
It works, man. It works.
Thanks.
What I like to is, oh wait, there we go. Can you hear that?
Yeah, what was it?
That's you.
Oh yeah, here we go.
See if I can find that happy medium right now. Since I don't like to edit this show, I do the whole thing on the fly. There's no cutting in and out type of thing.
No problem. Hopefully I won't make any mistakes then.
Oh no, you can make mistakes. If they're like egregious mistakes, I'll edit that out.
Yeah, of course.
I can't imagine what that would be, nor could my audience after everything that they've heard us listen to. So there we go. I've got you quietly playing in the background now as we converse. This song is On the Run, which appears to be your most popular song, and it's only playing now because I just quickly tapped open Spotify, and On the Run kicked up.
Yep, that's definitely by far my most listened to song. Yeah.
So, give us a bit of a rundown of On the Run, simply because it is your most popular song, as I'm seeing this right now.
Yeah.
What was the process like when you create, again, your tunes? It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to talk about On the Run, but what's your process for creating this? And maybe I should jump back a little bit. What was your childhood like? Like, how did you go from just a guy that was chilling out to I'm going to create some stuff, and it's going to be different than everything else because everything right now is just, everything that's new is kind of terrible.
I definitely didn't think of it like that.
I'm saying that those are my words. Those aren't your words. So my question is, like, what was it like for you to, I don't even know how to word that, like to transition from not doing this to doing this? Yeah. Give us a rundown of, give us your backstory, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I was born in 1983 in near Eindhoven in the Netherlands, in Holland. And I mean, my childhood was just really very free. What I can remember is just me playing with friends and going on holidays and whatever. And my parents are really great, and they introduced me to a lot of music. They're from the 50s, but it's not that they only listen to 50s or 60s music. They listen to everything. So I got like a really broad musical background, if you want to put it that way. It's not that I ever played an instrument or whatever. I never did that. But yeah, when I was about, what was it, 12, 13, something like that, I met a friend who made music with his computer in MS-DOS and Scream Tracker or Impulse Tracker, some really old tracker. And I just decided to give it a go as well because it looked so much fun, and I wanted to try it. Like I said, I had no musical background whatsoever, but yeah, I just wanted to give it a try because it looked so cool, and I kept playing with it and kept playing with it. And yeah, that's kind of where what my love for making music was born. So in 2012, I believe, it's when I first released my first song. And because between 12 and, I'm not even sure how old I was when I released my first song, but between age 12 and 2013 or 2012, I was just playing with music, doing a lot of stuff on the side, and never focused on it. But then in 2012, I discovered synthwave and decided to give it a go as well. And I made my first song, put it on SoundCloud, and that's how TimeCop1983 was born.
That's beautiful. So
yeah, it was just pure passion. I liked making music, and it was never anything serious for me. I didn't have a musical background, so I thought when I had my first song, why not give it a try and put it on SoundCloud, see what people think of it, if they even find out about it or even like it. And yeah, ever since then it's been crazy.
It was the right time. I mean, SoundCloud was so young, especially at that moment in time, and people were finding so many great things. It's almost like that's not even possible now because there's a quelling or a I want to say a shadow ban. Like there are certain things that don't get the attention that they used to get because whoever owned it or whoever took over retweaked the algorithm to sort of take back control, because that was the Wild West back in 2012. A lot of good things were coming out and a lot of good voices were being heard for the first time. SoundCloud changed a lot of things. It almost like it took the power out of the record label's hands. And
I
I
think
feel
so
like
too.
they
I
did
think it
their best to
began
take
with
it back.
sorry. I think it began with MySpace. That was kind of like something different instead of like big music labels doing things where people found out about music, and then SoundCloud came indeed, and with their algorithms, it made it easier for people to discover new music. And I haven't used it in like 5 years or so I don't know how it's now, but
Yeah.
it was a great time for sure.
It's and so in your opinion, do you think, see, for me, if I were to refer back to a passion, I've fallen in love with photography. And my photography, the stuff that I love shooting, also is representative of the energy that your music creates. Right. So, and I don't know how to quite put this to a listener, but it's almost like a dark, mysterious, macabre feeling that puts you in a place that's not quite today, but could very well be either 1980 or the year 2080.
Yeah.
And that I just simply love that visual. And I've connected with a few 3D rendering artists that do some amazing work. And what I'm trying to do is emulate that with the camera, right? So that scene. And why I'm saying this is because I like your music. Every single time I pick up the camera, I feel reinvigorated. I feel like there's something new I can do, learn, see, be. I always pick it up and I'm always excited. Are you still going through that with every time you sit down for something new, you're like, oh, this is new, this is better. Do you still have that love, that fire, that passion?
Yeah, definitely. But it's not like that every time, because I've struggled with a writer's block for a year, like 2 years ago or something like that. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I love making music so much, and especially seeing so many people like my music, that gives me a lot of inspiration to continue doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, sometimes it's hard. You have to be in the zone to feel it and to create. So that's one side, but on the other side, I absolutely love it. Every time when I turn on my computer, I just like making sounds, like making new ideas, and I mean it's my day job now since last year. But even now, when I'm bored or I'm not doing anything, I turn on my computer, start making sounds, and just experiment a little bit. It still gives me a lot of energy, even now.
That's amazing. So, when was your last full album released? And how does an artist, like, how do you release that stuff? I'm curious about that process right now. And a lot of people listening, if you sort of gauge that answer, or if you craft that answer, there are a ton of people listening right now that are creating but don't know avenues or don't know this or that. If you I have so many questions, so let's just jump back to this one. If you were to give advice to somebody who's getting started, or if you were to say, like, I wish I knew then what I know now, or how would you talk to either your younger self or somebody what tricks would you give to somebody who's getting into it right now?
Yeah, right now, I would definitely say find a good label that fits your music, that has a lot of contacts in the music scene, that you make your music in. They can definitely help you, because there's so many people making music in their attics or in their bedrooms. Anybody can release music, so it's really hard to to get noticed now, even harder than it was when I started or 20, 25 years ago, because anybody with a computer can make music. It's easy as that. And so I would definitely say find a label that fits you, that knows how to promote music, that has a lot of contacts, a lot of followers, and just introduce yourself like that. But yeah, when I started, I'm independent. I'm not signed to any label like exclusively. I mostly self-publish my music. So for me, it's a little bit different because I was so lucky that my music got picked up by a YouTube channel, New Retro Wave, which was pretty large back then as well. And I didn't really need a label because people found me anyways, and I kept releasing music, and yeah, somehow they liked it and kept following me.
Somehow.
Yeah.
You're so humble.
Yeah.
This shit's fire,
No,
man. Your
yeah.
music is great.
Yeah, to me, it's nothing special. It's just my music, and
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it's crazy. But
Well,
yeah,
that's one of those
definitely.
things too. That's one of those things that sort of we all do. All of us undersell ourselves, right? I'm probably making you uncomfortable by singing your praises right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I mean, okay, so why I do that and why I do sing those praises is because I mean, I 100% believe in the ethos, the energy, the cosmic chi of it all, right?
Mhm.
And for me to have been looking for as long as I did, to find a sound that I didn't even know existed, it's like having a craving for something that won't go away, but you have no clue what it is, so you're stuffing your face with everything,
I
right?
had exactly the same when I first discovered synthwave.
Yeah,
Exactly that. I always loved music, and there was so much music that I listened to, but there was never like one genre or one artist that I really adored or was a really big fan of. But then I heard Kavinsky for the first time
yes,
and saw the movie Drive in 2013. That's
yes.
when it all came together for me. I love the music. I found Future Cop and Kavinsky in college. I love those guys. But after seeing Drive, to see that the photography or the cinematic,
Yeah,
yeah,
cinematography.
yeah, cinematography and the music together, I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. This is me. This is my kind of music, and this is what I want to give a try and see if my music can take me anywhere.
And I'll go you one further. I went down that exact same rabbit hole.
Oh wow!
And the neat thing is in this journey, you did that and then you created, right? I did that, and just like you, after seeing it all and knowing what it was, still wasn't satisfied
No,
until I found your music, right?
that's crazy, man.
And it's your music that is, to me, an extension of that rabbit hole that you yourself went down. So when I find that stuff, and again for me, like I said, I'm the kind of guy that really 100% goes on feels. I like to be moved by stuff, and there's an essence to this. And I looked at all that stuff, and I loved all that stuff, and it was what I was looking for. But there was never one artist. And I always said to myself, I'm a huge proponent of ease as well, right? So I've always said I want to go to a one-stop shop and have it all sorted out.
Yeah.
And with the technology that we have today, yes, you can say if you like this and this and this, then you'll probably like this, this, and this, and the algorithms on Spotify or whatever will put it all
They'll
together.
suggest you, yeah.
You're the only one that I can say play Time Cop, and every single song's a banger. I don't miss any of them. I don't miss a beat on any of them. Every one of them hits a mark in a different way. And so why I say that is just simply because, it's fascinating that you get this thing, the same rabbit hole that you and I went down, and you said, I'm going to put my fingers to these keys and I'm going to create the sound I want. Yeah. I don't have that skill. My skill is speaking, it's talking. I've got a face for radio. So I talk to you. I talk to guys like this. I talk to the creators. Yeah. I create awareness of the creation. So even somebody's going to come across this and they're going to say, hey, because of you, I got into podcasting and I found TimeCop, right? So the same guy that's going down the rabbit hole further down the chain is connected by podcasts through me, then to you. And this is how the expansion grows. And I find that And when you operate from a place of purity and a place of integrity and a place of just, I need to create for me,
Yeah.
stunning and beautiful things happen.
That's it. Definitely.
So that's really cool. I mean, it's almost like I'm not surprised to hear that answer, because I'm so familiar with that road.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. So, okay. So now you've said, I've seen this journey. I've seen these visuals. What's next for me? How do I really pull this? And
yeah,
that I don't know how long it would be, that creative window, that next year, did you knock some stuff out and you just sat back and you're like, I've done it. I did it.
No, definitely. You can never do that, especially in the beginning. I mean, you know about it. I mean, you can never sit back and relax. You always need to, well, I wouldn't say reinvent yourself, but always create new stuff. And especially in the beginning, when it's so important to come out with new stuff. Like, well, I wouldn't say every week, of course, but that might be a bit too much. But every few months, you should do something, because people forget about you. Like I said, there's thousands of people making music. There's, well, millions of people making music on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can release it, so it's really important to get consistent quality, of course, and release every once in a while, so people don't forget you, and social media and stuff like that.
The algorithm.
Yeah, you just need to make sure, or try to make the algorithm pick you up and keep promoting you to other people that don't know your music, or podcast, or whatever you're doing.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a decent following on Instagram. And I've personally found that the Instagram has helped me a lot, because so many people look for so many different things on Instagram. And then when they come across you, they see some of your Instagram visuals, then they sort of check out what you're doing, and then they find the avenues. I really appreciate Instagram. I've never messed with TikTok or any of the other ones. I probably won't ever mess with TikTok. But these are the things that help. So there's so much that does go into. It's not just I'm going to sit down and create. I like how you referenced they're making music in their attics or in their bathrooms. I know a lot of people that make music in their bathroom for the sound quality. Yeah. And I mean, I know some people that started their podcast in the closet because they didn't have good gear, and they wanted no reverb, right?
Yep.
So you sit in your closet and you start your podcast.
Yeah, but
anyone
it
can
doesn't
start
matter.
anything anywhere.
That's
and
it.
Like you said, I think 100% it's consistency. If you're pure of heart, and if you're always willing to learn, and you're going to stay consistent, that's the key to success.
Definitely.
The problem is everybody sees you, like somebody will notice you and go, oh, he became famous overnight? And you're like, yeah, it took me 10 years to become famous overnight, and fame is also fleeting. It's like, I mean, you can't even define fame anymore. It's like somebody knows you, somebody doesn't know you. It's just it's not even a goal. It's not even a goal for me.
Of course. It should never be a goal. Never. No.
Everybody wanted to be rich and famous back in the day. I'm like, I'd rather be rich and completely obscure, so I can go out into the city and not be bothered and spend my millions.
Yep, definitely. No, but that's it. I mean, everybody can create, but it has to come from the heart. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't come from the heart, people will see it, people will notice, and they won't be as interested, I think.
I have dabbled a little bit in mixing.
Oh, yeah.
So not anywhere near anything, but one of the funniest things I've noticed with mixing is hitting the levels. Yeah. Like when you listen, like your song, I don't know if you can still hear it. You probably can't. It'll be audible when people are listening in with the earphones on. But your music's playing in the background right now. You've got this perfect mix. And it's, from my experience, it's almost impossible to generate. Like when I'm talking about, like, I've dabbled with mixing, I've put my voice over top of music before, and it's almost impossible to get that perfect mix. You've got like 42 tracks playing at the same time, and your mix on it, the flow is perfect. How long did it take you to do that? Or is that a software thing? Or is that a skill or a software? Like that flow that you have is just, I know it's personal because there's personal stuff in there, but I mean, how am I gauging this question? How do you take perfect vocals? Where do you find these beautiful vocals? And then what makes you think I'm going to merge it with a a flowing, almost organic sound, and then we're gonna have some ticks and some beats and stuff like that. You've just got that. What is it like? Flowing like water? I don't know. There's a ton of questions in there, but
No, yeah.
I guess what's your inspiration?
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that. That's funny that you think my mixes sound so good because I think they sound like shit, actually.
It's always the way.
Yeah, well, it's always with creative people, probably.
Yeah.
They always think their work is not good enough. But yeah, I knew back in 2012 and 2013 when I released my first songs that they weren't sounding perfect. And I was like, I'm just going to release them anyway because to me, it's never going to sound perfect.
Mhm.
Even my latest album, which I mixed and mastered, well, I didn't master it, but I mixed it myself. But I know there's so many things that I could have done better. But for me, it's a learning process. I like doing things myself as much as possible, like to learn about making music and mixing and mastering as well. So I just kept doing it and just released it, even though I knew it wasn't perfect. So yeah, that's another important thing when you're starting out. It's never going to be perfect. Even when you think it is, it will never be perfect because after you release it, there's always little things that you hear that you think you should have done better. But yeah, then the mixing itself, it's all done in the box in the computer. It's plugins. I use like one template when I create my music, which has is going to be really technical, but a parametric EQ on it, a multi-band compressor, and a stereo enhancer. And I feel like that's like 90% of my sound with those with that template. That's what I use for every song, and of course, it makes every song sound about the same, like level wise and whatever. But for me, it's just so much easier because I don't have the knowledge to tweak everything into detail.
Mhm.
So I just go from there, and yeah, it's good. It's good to hear that you think it sounds okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm not the only one. That's for damn sure. Okay, so here's a question for you, and that's a good answer too. And so again, in the podcast world, there are so many times where I'm like, well, that podcast was absolute shit, but I've got to put it up because I mean, like, it's shit to me because I'm like, I should have said this, this, and this, and I should have gone this way, but I like the flow. It sounded good. The main message was out there, and I can tweak it later because I also have this beautiful thing that goes on in my brain, which I'm sure you do too, where I know exactly what I want to say up here, but I don't know how to get it out here.
That's
so. Your music is probably, since we're from the same generation, your music is probably perfect up here. But once it comes out, you're like, it's not what I wanted. But yes, as an observer and as somebody who isn't as critical as you, because I mean, it's your creativity. I mean, I've been told by people that I speak eloquently. And I think to myself, how is that even possible? I'm literally one giant ball of ADHD spitting everything out all at once.
No, but it's still very good. I mean, it's very easy to follow. So it's not maybe because I have ADHD myself as well that it's easier for me. But I don't know.
That's what you said. You're like, it's easy to follow. I'm like, how are these people following along with? I'm trying to figure this shit out myself in my own head. So here's a fun thing. Right now, let's see if we can let's put you on the spot. Right now, in the background, there's a song playing called "Tonight." Yeah. I think that was off your 2017 album. Or EP?
It was from Waves EP. It's 2015 actually, and in 2017 or 16, it was on an album as well, on Reflections. Yeah, 2016.
So, where were you? Since you were so good at remembering that, where were you mentally, and what was going on in your mind when you were recording Tonight?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, it was nothing special. It was not like there was a big idea behind it or whatever. It was just me having fun in the studio, getting into the zone. That's when I came up with this. I think it began with a chord progression, and like those 4 chords in it. And then I started creating everything around it. And that's how it came to be. But there's no like real big idea behind it. Yeah.
Just quote unquote, just another track, just another 7 million downloaded only on Spotify. Just another track. There's another day in the office.
Yeah, it's crazy that it gets so much listens. I mean, yeah, like I said before, for me, it's just me expressing my creativity, and that so many people like it. It's just crazy. And of
So
course, I try to create like a certain vibe with my music, with like a romantic vibe, especially in the beginning, or a little darker vibe with my album Night Drive, and now with my new EP as well. So there's always an idea behind it, like in general, but not for every track. Okay, this is really specific because what is it? I broke up with somebody, or I've fallen in love, or yeah, it's just a general idea for the album. It's not a representation of my emotions per se. I would say.
one of the fun things, um, I'm a video game aficionado as well. I love classic video games,
Nice.
and I have quite the collection. Just because I'm a Cancer and I'm a natural collector, I didn't know that
Yeah.
that was a thing, but astrologically, I collect things.
All right.
So your soundtrack, just basically your tunes. One of my favorite games is from 1985 or 86, Rad Racer for the NES.
Yeah.
It is
Never played it, but heard.
it is a very basic game. You know, it's a driving screen game where the road goes like this and your little car just goes like this, right?
Yeah, sort of like Outrun or something.
100%. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so Outrun was the Sega Genesis arcade, super graphics version for the thing.
Yeah.
Rad Racer was kind of a port, like a very basic. We don't have enough to do this, but it had a life of its own, and it's got a cult following now. But it's one of the greatest. For an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old, or however old I was when I was playing it was fantastic. So there's this essence and there's this essence in the ethos where they say that you live your life up until a point, and you find a certain amount of happiness. And when you sort of hit that area of happiness, you try to revert back to where you were most happy. And for most of us, that's when we were kids. That between the ages of 8, when you start to become aware, and 13, when you find out that there's another sex out there that screws up all of your hormones. So there's that wonderful time, and that's where a lot of kids go back to. So it's funny because the music that you create and the music that you produce also allows me to go back there. It pulls me back.
Yeah.
It somehow I've tied in synth pop, synth wave with the 80s. I mean, obviously it's based around an initial 80s sound, Depeche Mode and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it because of the modernization of it, and because of how even now at this stage of the game, even when we try to think back to 1985 or 86 or 87 or whatever, or to when you're like 8, 9, or 10, to any audience member anywhere, when you try to think back to when you were 8, 9, or 10, you can't put yourself back in that time frame. All you can do is view it from this time frame.
Yeah.
So when I look back at the 80s, right, I can only do it with this music. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you've taken this music and you've taken the 80s and you've merged it with 2022.
Yeah.
And so even your own visuals without music or anything inclined, it's the only way to look back at the 80s. You can't go back to the 80s because you have the knowledge already in your head.
Yeah.
So the best you can do is recreate it inside your head. And
I think that's a really good description of synthwave in general. Like, we want to go back to the 80s, but we can't. But so we just create music that sounds a little bit like the 80s and sounds like the future as well. So that's perfect that you see it that way as well.
a futuristic 80s.
Yeah.
And it pairs well with everything 80s, especially if you've got the CRT either filter or TV. And and I remember one night, and again I bring up the Rad Racer, and I remember one night just sort of sitting and chilling out, and I had a ton of stuff. I was working with a ton of clients. I was totally creatively burnt out, and it was one of those. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. You probably have.
Yeah.
Where you're creatively burnt out, but in a really good way. Like, you just put it all down. You're like, I did everything I needed to do. I'm done. I'm just done.
Yep.
And I'm happy, but I'm done. So I threw you on. And I've got the big screen in front of me here. I threw on the Rad Racer, and I just sat here, and it turned out like I sat there and I played the game for 4 hours.
Oh shit!
I sat there and I played the regular Nintendo NES, and you just playing in the background, and everything was perfect. To me, it's just like it's just such a cool thing to be able to take that happiness, to take that era, to take that essence, and to be able to add to it with something so great. So let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about right now. Finances, right? Nobody knows, and we don't need numbers, we don't need details or anything like that.
No.
Just a general, or your perception of, this. You just said that this is quote unquote your day job now. So yeah, I'm 100% you're getting hired for festivals, and that's all a wonderful thing. But from your day to day, I guess residuals and royalties, how do you think, as somebody who's created such great stuff, how do you think that the royalty systems works? Do you if you could change it, or if you could do it, or what's your total take on it right now? Just, I mean, and don't say anything that's going to get you in trouble if you're angry about anything.
No,
Of course, like that.
Well, to be honest, I'm not angry with it at all. For me, since I have this many followers, since I have this many listeners, it works. I mean, like I said, I made it my day job, and I can't complain about it. It's just, it works. But I can imagine if you're just starting to make music, if a few thousand listeners or a few hundred, then you won't make any money from it. You won't be able to live off it, and that's crazy. On that side, it's crazy that it pays so little, especially with streams and on Spotify. So it pays not very much money if you don't have a lot of followers or listeners, but it pays enough or a lot of money if you have more followers. So if some people say, oh, you should get at least a dollar per stream, but it wouldn't be fair if those really big pop artists who have like 1 million streams per day, they would earn $1 million per day. And other people who only have like 200 plays per month only would make $200. So, and one way, for if you're starting out, there's not really much. How do you say it? Return of investment. If you release your music and only a few people listen to it, but once you grow bigger, then yeah.
You have to do it
for
sure in the beginning.
You have to do it for the love, definitely. And I wouldn't say no to more money, of course, but yeah, I mean, who would? But like I say, if you have enough people that follow you or enough monthly listeners, then it's fine, really.
Mr. Burns once said to Smithers, Smithers, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, for all.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That don't watch The Simpsons. He said, Smithers, I may have a lot, but I would trade it all in for just a little more.
Yeah. That's it.
So here's another fun one too. Without, trying to, pay all your bills, what was your first paycheck from Spotify like? And I asked this, like, it could be like 10 cents, whatever. As a podcaster who does decent numbers, Spotify doesn't pay me at all.
Not at all for podcasts. Not at all.
I haven't received a single paycheck from Spotify.
Oh wow!
So maybe I could learn from you. Maybe I need to punch in a few buttons and get these bastards to pay me. You Spotify bastards.
Yeah, that's crazy. But aren't you using like an aggregator or distributor for your podcast?
Yeah, I'm self-distributed, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I do as well. I use, in my case, it's TuneCore. But Spotify and iTunes and whatever, they pay me through TuneCore, and if it's like, it's a 3-month delay, so they should definitely pay you. But I'm not sure how it works with podcasts. Might be possible that they don't pay at all, but that doesn't seem fair at all.
I should really look into it.
Yeah, you should, man.
So let's talk about that briefly, because that's fascinating too. Without worrying about dollar amounts, you started streaming. So you basically, for the podcast community, I use a company called Blueberry. If you go to my website, ladies and gentlemen, selfless plug right here. If you go to my website and click on our exclusive offers, you click the Blueberry link, you're going to get a free month of hosting. So that host is a kernel. I'm technically hosting my own thing. They're the one that's distributing, my file. So when I upload to my own host, it gets dispersed to all of the websites or all of the carriers. So anywhere, like, iTunes, Spotify, the whole 9 yards. And that's that. And that's literally that. They just disperse it. They just promote it. So is that the same with you? Do you just get a brand new song? You're like, I'm going to click it and I'm going to upload it, and this is how I'm going to do it, and it goes up. And then, of course, later you're like, I'm going to release a full EP, so it's going to be 4 songs, and then so you decide this is going to be the bonus, this is going to be this is going to be a rework of this, a reimagination. So you just, same like a podcast, you just click to upload, put in your picture out, put this, and then it does the rest.
That's it. And like you say, they don't do anything. They don't do any promotion or whatever. It's just you upload it, they distribute it to Spotify and iTunes. And then it's up to you to make it work, to get it out there. And they pay you, well, if you have the numbers, and if you're a musician, maybe not if you're a podcaster.
We're getting ripped off. Unless you're Joe Rogan, then you're getting all kinds of...
Oh, he gets paid. That's what I heard. But it's just like that. Just upload it and they distribute it, and it works great for me. Because then you won't need a label. Like before 20 years ago, you needed a label to make sure your music got on a CD or got in the charts or whatever. But now anybody can release music, which is great in a way. But on the other hand, anybody can release music. So there's a lot of shit out there as well. But it works. It works, I think.
So back to payment, does Spotify mail a check to your house, or does your distributor, how does that, how do you get paid?
Yeah, it's through my distributor.
So Spotify pays them?
Yeah, it's a 3-month delay, and my distributor pays me my money. So it's all through their accounts.
So what you're saying is I need to get on with my distributor, who may be pilfering all my cash.
Maybe there's like millions waiting for you, man. Who knows?
Well, I'll tell you, if there's millions waiting for me, I'm putting on a music festival and you're the only one playing.
Oh yeah, I'll come.
No, that man, that's so neat too. Yeah. So that's something to look into. I never even thought about it. Like, podcasting for me was never about the money. And I'm pretty sure podcasters don't get paid. I make a living off my podcast, which is really convenient. And that comes from having being able to either sell my services or help people or connect people with all sorts of different things. There's so many avenues to make money with podcasting just from using your voice and directing people to go here and go there and check this out. Like, I'm hoping that at least 1,000 or 2,000 people will now head over and check out your tunes specifically from listening to this show. And having had your beats playing in the background, we're cerebrally pumping it into their head and they're falling in love with it right now. But it's, excuse me. It's neat. It's neat to know, that if you've got an idea and if you decide that you're going to upload, you just create a creator's account and up you go with regards to Spotify and all that sort of stuff. Anyone can get paid. Money isn't what it used to be. And even the value of money. I don't know if what you guys are doing over in the Netherlands, but money's going out of control over here in Canada. Like, it's like $10 for some lettuce,
Yeah, it's crazy here as well. Yeah.
Supply chain issues. Yeah, sure. No problem.
Yeah. And then here we have like gas prices going up crazily because of the Ukrainian war with Russia. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, and we've all got
inflation
different.
Is so high.
That's not even something that can be really addressed because every single person everywhere has got a different view of what the Ukrainian war is based on the media that they're allowed to see about it, Yep. So our influence on all that stuff has changed and it's altered and all that sort of stuff. This isn't political. It's not a political podcast. Although the podcast is sometimes political, I've been known to dabble. But for me, with regards to politics in that sense, I love asking questions. And, I've gotten in trouble for it in the past. But I make no assumptions and I make no statements. I just point out, crazy things. And there's a lot of obscurities going on right now. So it's interesting to know that even in your side of, the world, it's just as crazy as over here. When you said gas, what are you paying for gas? How much is your gas now?
Well, it's gone down a little bit now, but right now I think it's like €1.75 per liter. I'm not sure how that would translate to
euros,
gallons.
I think. I don't know the conversion.
I think €1 is like $1.10, something like that.
American?
US dollar. Yeah. Canadian, I don't know.
Like $1 million Canadian.
Yes, probably.
Our dollar is crap right now, which is truthful. But so we have 175 a liter. Yeah, we're over here griping about 150 a liter. And 150 a liter would probably work out to I would say a dollar, a
Yeah.
dollar,
Oh,
one
wow.
euro, 1 euro, a dollar, like $1 euro.
Wow, that's crazy cheap.
That's
For me,
crazy
at
cheap,
least.
man.
Not for you, probably, but
Used to be 54 cents. I remember the longest time gas
oh,
was
wow.
54 cents Canadian.
That's
It
crazy.
stayed there forever, and now it's $1.50.
We had a few months ago, or maybe a year ago, we had like it was 250, I believe, for 1 liter. That was crazy.
And it's, I think, you look at this sort of stuff and you're like, man, it's a fun topic to discuss, but at the end of the day, like, it just goes to show how very manipulated we are by all the string pullers everywhere. And you think to yourself, do I want to complain about it? Do I want to gripe about it? Do I just want to work in and within it? I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know the sticker price on services and that sort of stuff. But like, if you're low, if you yourself are low on cash, or you say, you know what, I need an extra couple grand, do you have the ability to reach out to promoters or festivals and be like, hey, you probably know who I am, or maybe you don't know who I am, but this is who I am, and I want to be on your tour. Can you do that by yourself from your phone in this day and age?
Yeah, well, if you have a booking agent, or if you have the contacts, definitely. I mean, you can ask people if they're interested in booking you. So I think it's possible. Yeah.
But you don't do that. Do you
Well,
ever
I
think
have
like,
a yeah.
what?
So I have a like a booking agent, at least for the US, and I tell him, okay, I want to go to the US in, well, in my case, it's September. Can you try and get a tour together for us? And yeah, he goes to work on that, and well, hopefully it will work. But yeah, it's for me. I do have a booking agent. Yeah.
So the booking agent, yeah, that makes sense. But that's the thing. So it's like, you say to yourself, we got some downtime. Let's go earn a little bit of extra cash. So you call the booking agent and be like, put me here if you can at this
Yeah.
time. That's fun.
Yeah, it
You
is.
should also, in September, you should also work on coming into Canada.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it isn't official at all yet, but as far as it's looking now, I'm coming to Toronto in September.
Bro, I'm in Toronto.
Yeah, I know.
I'm coming to your show.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
are. You should.
100% I'm coming to that show.
Yeah, awesome.
The last I don't know if you've heard about them over there. The last band I saw, the last electronic band I saw in Toronto was Zed's Dead.
Oh yeah, I heard of him.
And that was probably about 6 years ago.
Oh wow. They're so
COVID
much
threw a wrench
bigger
into
now.
that sort of stuff. And I mean, Toronto has such an amazing scene for EDM and for all that sort of stuff, for sure.
Yep.
But as far as EDM goes, I worked my way out of it. It's not a music scene that I'm overly into right now. I don't know who would you tour with, or what would your tour be, or where do you slot in with that sort of stuff?
Well, for me, like in the past, it was a headlining tour together with two supporting bands. It was their synthwave or EBM as well. It's Corinne and Arcade High who I toured with. So it's just a bunch of friends going on tour, having fun, and playing some shows. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really want to see that. Do you have any live footage of you at festivals or anything like that? Is that on YouTube or anything?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. There's a few. Yeah.
Awesome. I asked that. I stay away from YouTube because I've been in trouble with YouTube because I've asked questions, and I've questioned narratives, and YouTube just wiped me out.
Oh shit.
So I would probably go back to YouTube now because I don't do what I did back then. And I shouldn't say wiped me out. It wiped a version of me out. It wasn't this show. This show has always been a certain thing, but there was a version of me that was like asking a lot of questions and being aggressive about it.
Yeah, but did you get blocked or something?
Well, it was a show called Becoming the Free, and it was me and a couple other creators, big name Instagram creators, and we started doing a podcast, and we started asking a lot of questions, and then we got kicked off of Spotify and off YouTube.
Oh wow.
Just one day we woke up and it's like, you guys have violated stuff and you're gone. So like we just got wiped out.
Oh, wow.
And so we said, okay, well, because there's no aggression to me. Like we're all spiritual people essentially. And it was one of those things where it's like, at first I was mad because we put like a year's worth of effort into it. But after that, it was like, so I understand the system is, I don't want to say rigged, but I understand the system is the system. And you can play within it, and you can raise awareness, and you can entertain, and you can live your life comfortably inside the system. And the key is to play the system. Before, there was a mindset that's like, I shouldn't have to play the system. The system shouldn't exist. Right. But now it's like,
use it.
The amount of people that have something to say or have something to create, they exist, and they're out there and they're doing what they can. But the amount of people that are so riddled with self-hate and angst, they want to shit on everything. They want to destroy everything, and they want to project their own pain onto everything. Yeah. And if this system wasn't in place, even though it goes against me sometimes because I often speak against the system, if this system wasn't in place, the darkness that is inside a lot of people spreads. And for a long time, I had comments on my Instagram. I had comments taken off because people would come there and just shit on it. And if somebody, the way I looked at it, if somebody's coming to a motivational Instagram and they're reading the post and they're thinking that this is great, this is what I needed to see. This was the inspiration that I needed. And then they read in the comments and some assholes just talking shit.
Yeah,
that could ruin their day. So it was that realization that made me understand a little bit more about the system, that I was like, I'm now monitoring what people can say on my threads, right? So I'm now part of the system.
Yep.
So I changed that to, you have to be following me to make comments. And that seems to have quelled it, because there are a lot of people out there that just want to spread shit.
Yeah.
So if you're questioning the system, or if you have an aggressive tone, or if you have a certain thing, you're going to trigger some people who are going to complain about some stuff, and they're going to do a bunch of stuff. So to be controversial will always sell. To be overly controversial will get you caught up in the fishnet of the system, because people are dicks.
Yeah.
So that was a little top. We were talking about YouTube. So back to YouTube.
Yeah.
I will relaunch. Like, we're set for video. I've never done like this video that we're doing right now. It doesn't get used.
It's a shame.
Yeah, the Mental Mastery Alliance is set for video. I even have a half decent background that, it's not even offensive. So it, eventually we're going to get into the video, Mark. And all of you wonderful listeners will be able to see my beaming face.
It looks good. I can tell from here.
Thank you very much. So YouTube, we're talking about royalties from Spotify. Your royalties from YouTube, are they rivaling Spotify? Like, if you were to say, of all the streaming services, do you know which one pays the most?
To be honest, no, I don't. No. I never looked into it in too much detail. But I would say YouTube is rivaling Spotify. It's about the same, I think.
That's fun. That's fun, because you hear a lot of artists complaining, well, we should get paid more. And like you said, you can't pay somebody $1 million a day.
That's it. I mean, everybody wants to get paid more, but if you're really, not that I'm saying that I'm big, let me put that out there, but if you're really small, then there's only so many people listening to you or seeing you. Why should you get paid like a big time artist that gets paid millions? Mm-hmm. It's all in proportion, I think. Should be in proportion.
And the way I look at that too, with regards to finances, if you want to complain about money, like, you just basically, you want to complain. See, there are people like you who are doing what they love and happily getting paid for it, right? As opposed to doing something and wishing I got more. Why? Where's my money? That changes what you're putting out. And when you want more money, what you're putting out is shit, right? But when you're loving what you're putting out, you're gaining a following, and eventually you get more money. And the thing too about money is, if somebody walked up to you and said, here's $10 billion, just boom, it's in your paycheck. It's in your bank account now. That's all yours. Do what you want with it. That changes the game for everybody. You have to ask yourself, like, what am I doing now? What's the purpose? And it's not like I have $10 billion. Now I'm the happiest person in the world, and everything I've ever wanted will come to fruition. Yeah. No, that money now, there's now a million other problems you have. And there's also, now there's a fact that you don't need to get up and do something, for, quote unquote. Yeah. You no longer have a purpose. Yeah. And now you've got all this money, and you don't have to work for it. And you didn't earn it. And you didn't become anything. You just have.
Yeah.
And therein lies the discrepancy in life. What people forget and what people don't really understand, and we've never been allowed to understand, having grown up on MTV Cribs and Pimp My Ride, is that it's not about the money. It's about becoming the man or the woman who mastered herself to the tune that she could earn the money. It's a metric. It's not, to me, it's not a destination. It's a metric. And I absolutely adore it. Now you're going to hear a lot of people, and this is where the system comes in. Well, fuck you. You can only say that because you've got money.
Yeah.
It's like all of us were born naked and covered in blood and shit. All of us, right? What you do from that moment forward is entirely up to you.
Yep.
And people will say, well, some people have a leg up in that where their parents were rich. Maybe,
Yeah, of course.
Maybe. But at the same time, I still say no to that as well, because anyone that's got quote unquote rich parents will raise a child for the most part that maybe doesn't put enough effort in, or that doesn't step up. Maybe they fell ass backwards into it, right? Again, if your main goal is money, it's a situation. If your main goal is personal growth and prosperity, we're all on the same playing field.
Yeah, and you should always work for it. I mean, yeah, you have to work for what you're earning, and it doesn't come falling from the sky.
That's right.
It's not up there for grabs, and you have to put effort into it, do some work, and like with musicians or podcast makers, it's not just creating music. It's not just creating a podcast. It's maybe 50% of the work is marketing or putting effort into it.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And
So
I'm
you do have to
so
work
bad
for
at
it.
that myself.
Oh yeah, me too. I know.
I put that stuff out there. I market it. I'm like, I do it. And like you, I got lucky where I got natural growth sort of in the beginning. So
Yeah.
my numbers were good from the beginning, and this word of mouth spread, which is like you. So it's like marketing. Yeah. Every time I drift over to your profile, I see, like you're putting up some stuff on the Instagram, and I think to myself, he's got the same problem as me. It's like the stuff is good, but if we're always in, like, if I put an audio clip up in the story every day of a song, like if you put a beat in the song, that's a neat thing too. Instagram changed, so now I can use your music in my stories, and I've merged so many of my images with your music.
That's cool.
Do you get notification of that when somebody uses your tunes?
No. When they tag me, I do, but not when they use my tunes. But then again, I do get paid for it through my my distributor. You can set up like an Instagram link or Facebook link, and then you get paid for that as well. So that's great. But I don't get like a specific message if you or anybody uses my music. Only if they tag me.
So whenever I do it again, I'll make sure I'll either tag you in the photo or put an @ in the actual post, because I love using that stuff. I love creating a story. Like my story is usually comical, and I love creating some ambience, put some music in there. Like I love playing with story on Instagram. That's good that you get paid for that too. That's fun. I'm helping you out.
Well, it's not much, but
fraction.
It's something.
Time, but I'm helping.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
So we've had you for an hour, and I do want to respect your time. So, I mean, we'll definitely have you back on the show, because especially if you're coming into, like, we'll have you back on probably around September, before your North American tour, because my audience is primarily Canadian and America. So we'll raise some awareness and some cities and some dates that you're in. So I'd love to have you back on that. And we'll do a quick promo for you then. If you can't come back on, I will promo the crap out of you just with my voice to my audience.
Thanks.
Because I would love for you to have, I mean, all on your own, you'll have a total sellout, but I would love for my audience to be able to experience you live, especially if you're in their city. It'd be foolish not to. But yeah, I mean, I adore your tunes. I adore the feel that you create. And I really appreciate that when you go looking for it, Is there anywhere that you want to send anybody? Is there any drop back? Or is there anything that we can do? Are you selling, by the way, LPs, EPs? Do you have records?
Yeah, I do, but usually they get sold out within a few hours. But actually, we're doing another repress of Night Drive next week, next Friday.
Right.
And like in April, my EP Multiverse is coming out on vinyl as well. So that's great, but it's so crazy. They sell out. Last time it was 1,000 copies of Night Drive, which sold in 3 minutes, something like that. It's absolutely crazy. So
why are you only pressing 1,000? Press 10.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's between me and the label, and we're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do too much. But yeah, it's always the question about how much people are interested, because it was already the third repress and that was the fourth repress, so it's always a gamble. But yeah,
I think if you're selling it in 3 minutes, you could easily do 10,000 would sell out in 30 minutes. Because here's the thing. Humans right now are collecting.
Yeah.
Like we're collecting and we're going back to vinyl. We want this shit back. Your stuff is great. I would love to have a record. I would love to add your entire discography into.
I'll send you one for sure, man. We'll stay in touch and I'll send you one.
Yeah. Who do you have to know to get an autographed record around here? God damn it.
Oh, just me. I'll sign it for you. I'll send it. No problem.
If it's done before you're in Toronto, that'd be sweet.
Oh yeah, sure. I can make sure.
That would be sweet because I could bring it with me. Or no, I don't even know. Do you touch them? You probably don't even touch. Do you have your own record?
Yeah, I do. My label sends me like 100 copies for per pressing to sell at shows. So I definitely have them myself as well. Yeah.
Good. That's what I want. I'll see you in September. You said it's not guaranteed that you're coming to Toronto, though, is it?
No, it's not guaranteed. Yeah, we're still working on visas and the touring schedule itself. But yeah, fingers crossed.
Man, my fingers are crossed. Fingers and toes, bro.
Yeah.
So where I cut you off again. I'm excited. I probably did a lot more talking in this episode than normal, so I apologize to my audience for being overbearing, but I was excited. Where are we sending? Is there anything that you want to raise awareness for right now?
Well, yeah, like I said, my final is coming up next week and in April, and yeah, just if you're interested in the tour, follow me on my social media, and I'll post any updates of it on there. And yeah, that's it.
Do you have a proper website that we can send people to, link backs or anything?
Yeah, I do have a website, which is TimeCop1983.com. It has some merch on it. It has my tour info as well, but it's not as much updated as my social media.
Okay, cool.
Instagram is my main social media outlet. I do use some Facebook, but not that much. And but yeah.
Right on. Well, we will have those links in the description, and we're definitely going to have you back closer to your time in heading into North America. If you've got time, I'm sure we can squeak a half an hour out here.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll make time.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. I like that. That's good stuff. So honestly, man, it was a lot of fun having you on the show. I'm really happy that we got this.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Mental Mastery Alliance. That was TimeCop1983. And in the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.